Hello, everybody, and good morning. Welcome to the Top Producer Show. So our mission is to educate, equip, and train servant leaders. Our vision is to create financially independent achievers, and our purpose is to help people grow. And right now we're going over the last chapter of the book, Change Your World by John Maxwell. So before we jump into that last chapter, we need to invite some people on here.
And drink a 5-hour.
Yep.
Just got another person who's ready to start it. Dang, this is cool. Incredible. Ah. There's Sammy. Let me start standard too. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, so we are on chapter 9. It's your turn to change the world. That's a lot to do. Okay, they always say that time changes things, but actually you actually have to change them yourself. That was Andy Warhol. So although the world's spinning and things are going crazy, you're the one that has to change and make it happen. It says, as you begin to read this final chapter of Change Your World, you may be working out how to pull all of this together. Perhaps you've already begun. So if you want to encourage, or if so, we want to encourage you and support you. But we also have and want to offer you a clear way forward so you can basically take your turn at changing the world. And he said, basically, you're going to need to follow this map. Phase 1. I want to make a difference. So, I think the first thing is you have to make a decision that you actually want to get something done. You want to do something. You want to change the world. It says we've given you a roadmap for transformation. The very first thing we asked you in chapter 1 is whether you wanted to make a difference, if you wanted to change your world. If you wanted to change yourself and become part of a transformational movement. Our desire has been for the chapters of this book is to take you on an inspirational journey of these phases. So phase 1 is, I want to make a difference. Phase 2 is, with people who want to make a difference. Phase 3 is, living values that make a difference. And then phase 4, taking action that makes a difference. And that's how you transform the world. So first of all, you have to want to do it, right, Dave? What's happening, sir? Phase 1, I want to make a difference. It says the first 2 chapters, we can't wait for change and we need to become a catalyst for change, is all about the desire to make a difference. You have to want to make a difference to be able to make a difference. Lucy's here. Hello. Did you guys get a lot of snow up there too? We hope that reading them fed you with growing passion within you to change your world and affirmed your ability to make a difference. We've done our best to basically water the seeds of compassion and conviction in you so that you can blossom and basically take off and figure this out. Phase 2, with people who make a difference. In chapters 3 and 4, we all need one another, and let's all get together on the same page. We premise the idea of change is greater when everyone works together. So it's finding like-minded people like what we're doing here. The purpose kind of what we're doing here is to teach people to grow and help people, figure this out. Maybe introduce people to new books. Maybe introduce people to new audios. Maybe introduce people to new subjects. New businesses, right? Some people have jumped on here and say, hey, this seems to be more than business. Right now at freezing temperature. Ooh, freezing rain. That's always fun. Bringing people together. It says, we presented ideas that change is greater when everyone works together. Each person brings specific skills, talents, experiences to the table to make everyone better. When people collaborate, movements often start. So it's really gathering people. This is why networking is so important. People are like, oh yeah, I don't want to do those networking things. Well, the thing about network marketing or direct sales or MLM is it teaches you a higher level skill of working with people. And most people don't want to change because their self-esteem is so low they could slide underneath a door without opening it. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but that's really true. I mean, most people have been beat up either by, by family growing up, by the system growing up. Most people have been beat up by, teachers and, the programming we all get. And most people just don't have any self-esteem. So when you're like, hey, you can, change the world, you can do something great. Jordan's here, Chance is here, hello, from Kentucky. Did you guys get a lot of weather too? I'm thinking you guys did. So you want to be able to make a difference, and you want to find people who make a difference. One of the most important skills that I've learned is just the ability not just to be able to connect with people, but to be able to get along with people of different backgrounds, people of different age groups, people who learn something different. My cat's like super interested in what's going on outside. So he's opening up the window and checking everything out, right? Oh, he sees birds.
Yep.
So this is his office over here. He likes to sit and watch. Phase 3, living values that make a difference. It says, Rob and I have never seen positive change occur or the transformational of a community happen unless good values were embraced by people. So we hope the stories of life changed. In chapter 5, experience the value of values. Helped you embrace the power of values to change anyone's life. Whatever your hope and dreams for positive change for yourself or for others, living good values will expand them. Good values always make a difference. So, learning that, that's not something that is usually even talked about. Most people, what do? You have a cat that opens windows. Well, he didn't open the window, he opened the shade. Just got underneath it. It's kind of funny. Chapter 4, or phase 4, which is taking action that makes a difference. And this is really what I've learned is the difference maker is most people, want to do something. Most people like to talk to other people who want to do something. Most people like to discuss doing something. But when it comes down to it, nobody wants to do shit. Because you're stuck in your comfort zone doing the same thing you've always done. So when it actually comes time to implement anything, you're like, well, the real question is how do I fit this into my life? How do I fit this into my life? When do I do it? And if you don't block time to do it, whether it's your business or it's personal development or it's learning a language or it's getting in shape, if you don't block the time to do it, that's part of the struggle. Bess is here. Hello. So taking action makes a difference. Hope, though powerful, is not enough to change your world. Action is what actually makes a difference. So, hope, thoughtfulness, prayer. I've got some people who are like, I'm praying on it. I'm like, that's great. But eventually you have to get out there and do something. It says, get in where you fit in. It says, our invitation to you is follow this roadmap. We've created one easy way for you to do throughout changeyourworld.com. So they kind of created a website to kind of walk people through this, enrich people, enrich platforms. I mean, the number one thing is you want to get involved. What do you want to get involved in? The Change Your World, I think the movement that I see is the movement of entrepreneurship. And so many people lack that skill now, and that's the reason we're having a lot of the social issues. That's the reason we're having a lot of the economic issues. that I see going on out there is because we went from, the country, the greatest country in the world, which is, that's subjective, right, to thought, because it depended on who you were at that time, if it was the greatest country in the world for you or not. But we did create one of the greatest economies in the world. That's kind of undeniable. As America was formed. And before 1900, those of you who don't know, before like 1929, the Great Depression, it was something like, and I've heard different numbers, I've heard everything from 85 to 95% of the population was self-employed. Prior to the huge industrial revolution, most people were self-employed. What happened? Well, what happened was, the economy changed and shifted, and we started going from individuals making stuff to companies making stuff, big companies, and they built a system around those big companies. World War I, World War II, as horrible as they were, they also basically allowed, a lot of connections around the world, which can be both good and bad, right? And people got together and made these huge social changes to society, where we were able to build things inside a plant. So we created a school system, we created a foundation. The people who really had money basically got together and said, this is the way we need to change society, so that way people will fill our companies and make everything work. So what ended up happening is now we have about 3 generations in, maybe 4 in the it'd be 4 in the United States, about every 20 some years, we've got another generation. So, 100, that's 5 generations maybe. 5 generations later, so from 1920 is what I'm doing, 20 years later is the 40s, then 20 years later is the 60s, then 20 years later is the 80s, and now we have the, 2000, everybody born right around 2000 is becoming 20 years old right now, which is insane. You've got about 5 generations of change where people have lost touch with entrepreneurship. So we've got, 100 years of programming into society that basically said you should go to work, you should get good grades, you should get a good degree, go work for a company. Well, let's be real honest. Are companies today really supporting people totally? And the answer is no. Are companies today really keeping people regardless of what's going on? And the answer is no. I mean, they're cutting people. They're like, hey, you don't work out, we're getting rid of you. Hey, you're too old, you're making too much money, we're going to cut you and get 2 people who will work for half of what you will do, and we'll cut your territory in half. Are companies really keeping people and supporting people? No, people have so many social anxiety problems that, you're basically going in, you're not having sales meetings, you're having, counseling meetings. And I know this because a lot of my clients for our holistic health are basically telling me what's going on inside of their companies, right? The cause had to be big enough to cause action. I think the Revolutionary War, most didn't want to hit the battle. Yeah. So you may blaze your own trail. So I think entrepreneurship is a huge missing element. And that's basically what Brandy and I want to go in and it seems to be the subject matter that I'm constantly talking with people about. If you talk about transformational, it's how to go from an employee to be an entrepreneur. And most people miss most of the points. And why do we miss most of the points? Well, 2 reasons. First of all, we're programmed not to see them. And then secondly, when we do go to work at them, we have all of our underlying programming and all of our underlying consciousness and guilt and self-esteem working against us to be able to do it, because really you have to come up with your own ideas and kind of blaze your own trail, and that's A, not popular, but B, people are like, well, why are so many people leaning towards the government take care of me idea? A lot of people are that way. And I think there's 2 reasons. First of all, they've been lied to so long, at least 75% of people, they've been lied to so long they don't know the difference. I don't believe they're bad people. They've just been lied to, and their personality is geared towards no conflict. Let's just help everybody. And sometimes it's help everybody without even understanding what that takes, right? It's like, well, I want to help everybody. We just need to take the 10 popsicles. And I was trying to explain this to somebody the other day. I was like, you have to have rules around things, right? That's why schools can only have so many people. Because if there's, and I'm just going to give an example, if there's 30 popsicles and there's 30 kids, then you can't really basically keep bringing people in. Does that make sense? The school system only has 30 popsicles to give out. And we're talking about like food, supplies, right? So people are like, well, it should just be open to anybody who wants to go to that school. Well, okay, let's bring 50 people in and still only have 30 popsicles, because that's all you got. What happens? Well, somebody's going hungry. Actually, multiple people are going hungry. Yeah, but they're like, yeah, but there's people who are hungry everywhere else. Well, yeah, but opening a door to let everybody in without any, checkpoints, without anything, philanthropy-wise, sounds great. Actually, economically, is fucking stupid. And people don't tend to really understand how that shit works. It just sounds good because you're like, I'm a feeling person. I love people. We should just love everybody and let everybody run wild. Great. Then why don't you have 5 homeless people living in your living room? Well, because it doesn't make sense in every case, right? And I think it's funny. It definitely doesn't make sense when it's your house. Like, it's great for everybody else. Oh my gosh, those people over there, they should do this. Yeah, but when it comes to practicality of you actually picking up the phone, calling somebody and helping somebody, or you stopping and getting somebody out of the snow, or you stopping and handing somebody else food, I don't see as many people reaching out. A lot of people bitching, a lot of people crying, a lot of people whining. I'm here. Okay, Caitlin's here. Cool. So you may blaze your own trail. Maybe your journey will be like Charlie, and he talks about, some of the people that he talked about in these different stories. It says, if you want the cooperation of humans around you, you must make them feel that they're important. And that's Nelson Mandela. You've got to make people feel important if you want to draw people in. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, here's what I can tell you. You are the only person who's going to be able to basically teach entrepreneurship to a certain group of people. Why? Because those people are only going to trust you and only going to relate to you. They're not going to relate to me. They're not going to relate to Brandy. They're not going to relate to our system. They're going to relate to you. You're the one who's going to have to bring them in. So if you don't participate, you actually leave an entire group of people behind, because no matter who else goes out and contacts them, they're not going to trust, they're not going to believe, and they're not going to run with us. So it really is instrumental for each individual person, because I thought, well, that person's so much more talented. Why can't they? Because that person doesn't relate to them. That person won't connect with them. Your story specifically, what you went through, whether it was family issues, whether it was drug issues, whether it was, abuse issues, it's actually people actually connect more to what went wrong than what went right. Like, what went wrong, you're like, man, that's like me too. What went right, you're like, well, that sucks. This person everything just works for them. You kind of, you don't like it as much. That's why 80% of all of presentation should talk about what you struggled with. And this is when it comes to building a business. You can join our transformational team. So, of course, John puts it out there of how to join what they're doing. Change your world. When you facilitate in transformational tables, complete a curriculum, live the values. So one of the things that I've wanted to do for a while inside of our direct sales company is basically have a John Maxwell leadership training prior to our event. Come in and get people in the right mindset. Like, hey, we're here to grow. We're here to learn some things. We're here to affect people. Yes, the business is great, but up front, what do you need to do? This is basically about working on you first, and then we'll get to the business stuff. Because the unfortunate part is you bring yourself with you into everything else you've done, everything else you do. People seem to trouble shifting from being outraged, figure point. Yeah, I mean, once you get on that subject matter of, what's wrong, everybody has their thing that they feel of what's wrong that's going on out there. And usually it doesn't leave pretty much the circle of their house of what's wrong. Meaning, what's wrong is what's affecting me, not what's affecting the world. And people also don't see like the long-term effects of stuff. It's like, we want to fix this. Well, that's not the problem. The problem is way the hell out here, and you're getting one of the break-offs of the actual problem. Materials. So go to changeyourworld.com to receive materials, lead transformational tables. I lead youth materials, information on becoming. So that's kind of how you take your next step, is get involved and do that. And then John has a bunch of notes. I thought he had something at the end here about the authors. And then John says he wrote like 700 million books. So he's like, go buy the rest of my books. He always has a couple like they're good promotions inside. This one had several about, teamwork and the 21 laws of leadership. I think he references in almost every book now. It's genius, actually, a way to sell and get people connected back to the material. And that's what, Bess was on here earlier. That's what Bess and I did for years, is we taught the 21 laws of leadership over and over and over again. And what I found is, I don't know how many people it affected out there, but it affected me, because now I look at everything from those points of view. I was like, okay, we need to go do this because it fits this law. I need to work on that because it fits this law. So part of it is, growing yourself and then getting people together. We were talking about Transformational Tuesdays, doing Transformational Tuesday over Taco Tuesday, getting people together for lunch at least once a month. For Transformational Tuesday, where we basically, go over some of John Maxwell's training and figure out how is this helping people, what can we do to positively affect people and grow that movement, across the country. So, what else?
So, now that we have finished that book, we are on to our next one. That is, If You're Not First, You Are Last by Grant Cardone.
I'm excited to read this.
Oh yeah, I like his books. Although sometimes it is very hard to read his books. Like when we're reading the 10X Rule, it was very hard to read because then I was just like, I don't want to read, I want to work now. So this will be the next book that we're going to go over. If you guys have not done it yet, you want to go to the Top Producer Show Facebook page and you want to go join that page, and also go join us on YouTube and follow us there. And because each one of these videos is going to be uploaded to there, that way you guys can go back and rewatch them. And please share and let us know where you guys are coming in from. Was that your birthday present? No, my birthday is in May. This was my Valentine's Day gift, or one of my gifts. So that'll be the next book that we go over, and we will see you guys tomorrow.